Welcome, family, and thanks for coming by and joining me so we can have a brief discussion about this North Korea missile concern. We're going to look a little bit at how President Obama handled the situation versus President Trump. We're going to start off right quick with President Obama. President Obama, his second term, early in the second term, he went to the Pentagon and asked them to come up with a cyber electronic strike system to go against North Korea and their missile launches, which they were able to do, and it was very successful. We were able to sabotage those missiles within seconds after launch. They would either veered off course, exploded in mid-air, plunged into the sea. We were very successful with this method, and so that was good. Next, as we seen in Iran, it was believed that Israel and possibly the U.S. was using cyber attacks against Iran missile system, and we also levied sanctions against Iran. We did go to the table, we was able to force them to the table, and we went there with several other nations and came up with a treaty. Not judging the treaty, not saying that you like it or dislike it, but we was able to use diplomacy and get a result, which is stopping or slowing down the nuclear capability. So the end result, we do like the method. You could argue a little bit of the details. I'm leaving it up to you, and you can leave it to the comment sections. Next, President Obama warns President Trump that this North Korea problem is an urgent problem that he has to stay on top of. President Trump takes office, what does he do? He stops immediately the cyber attacks that we were using against North Korea missile system. And what was the result of that? We have frequent missile launches by North Korea. It's not a coincidence when President Trump took office, almost weekly you're hearing about North Korea testing missiles. Not a coincidence. President Trump, he also talks about negotiation with North Korea. But at this time, because of his language and rhetoric and trying to get headlines, 5 minutes of fame almost feel like, negotiation at this time don't seem highly likable. If we are going to negotiate with North Korea, what we might have to do is bring in a third party, maybe a law firm, to come in and negotiate on U.S. behalf, because someone outside of his network, anybody's network at this time, I don't think North Korea would entertain. And they already see President Trump's actions as a declaration of war. Name calling going both ways between both leaders. We are the bigger nation and the more powerful country. We don't need to use these tactics with other nations. All right. So President Trump had spoke about direct attacks on North Korea on their missile sites. Now, it was already recommended by the Pentagon. This is not a good option for several reasons. But the two main reasons is, one, North Korea has missiles stationed in their mountain ranges, and we don't know exactly where. Two, North Korea has mobile missile units that travel around, so we can never really pinpoint them because they're constantly moving. We did try to shoot some of North Korea's missiles during one test. That we knew the exact time and locations of those tests were being done, and even with that information, we was only able to hit maybe 50% of the missiles. So what happens in a real world situation when we don't know where these missiles are being launched from? We might fall down to 25 or 10% success rate. This is not a good option. So President Trump wants China to levy sanctions against North Korea. I don't see that happening at this time or any time in the near future. It's not in China's best interest to level sanctions against North Korea. North Korea's population is already starving and the infrastructure is crumbling. So it's not in China's best interest to do this, because they will have an influx of refugees to China, and China can't support the North Korean population at this time or no time in the near future. So it's not in China's best interest to levy any kind of sanctions against North Korea. So we have to go back to diplomacy, and we cannot do this alone. So right now, the trajectory that we're headed in is taking us to a war or conflict with North Korea, and that's not a good scenario any type of way, because the loss of life in South Korea and Japan would be in the millions. And who wants to have that on their conscience, that our actions led to millions of lives being lost, which could also pull us into a big war, which we don't need, and we have to tread lightly because China's also involved. So diplomacy is the only option that I see at this point in time. President Trump Be the bigger person. Stop with the name calling. Stop trying to grab headlines and bring somebody in to start negotiation, diplomacy with North Korea. That's all I wanted to share right now with you, family. I love y'all. Please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. Peace.